Welcome to another show. Today, we're going to look at top 10 movies that parody film noir detective movies.
What's that, Roy? Damn, I took his gun. Guess he must have another one.
Must have.
The number 10 film on our list is The Ice Harvest from 2005. A dark, cynical Christmas noir comedy starring John Cusack and Billy Bob Thornton. It's a pitch-black, deeply cynical neo-noir directed by the legendary Harold Ramis, who did Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, as you probably know. It perfectly parodies the fatalistic tropes of classic crime cinema by setting a high-stakes, multi-million-dollar heist against the bleak, depressing backdrop of an ice-covered Wichita, Kansas on Christmas Eve. Roy Gellis, Oliver Platt, a heavily intoxicated mob-connected lawyer, is completely oblivious to the chaos around him. He spends the entire movie staggering throughout active shootouts, getting locked in a car trunk, and stumbling into danger completely unscathed because he is too drunk to notice he should be dead. Throughout the night of betrayal and murder, characters repeatedly utter this overly dramatic, philosophical-sounding phrase: "As Wichita falls, so falls Wichita Falls." Okay. It acts as a running joke that highlights how pathetic and small-time their criminal underworld actually is. The central hub for the film's dangerous femme fatale, Brunette, played by Connie Nielsen, is a depressing local strip club called the Sweet 69. The movie derives immense dark humor from staging tense, whisper-quiet noir negotiations right next to a stage blasting cheesy, festive Christmas music. In a brilliant subversion of the tough guy noir stick-up, when Charlie, John Cusack, tries to make a quick getaway, he gets cornered by a local thug. Instead of a cinematic showdown, the two have an incredibly awkward, passive-aggressive argument about Midwestern driving etiquette and manners. This was the second-to-last feature film directed by comedy icon Harold Ramis before his passing. Known for lighthearted, optimistic comedies like Caddyshack and Analyze This, Ramis explicitly stated he wanted to make The Ice Harvest because he was fascinated by the challenge of finding real comedy in total nihilism and human greed. The film originally had a much bleaker classic film noir ending where Charlie meets a grim, tragic fate. However, during test screening, audiences found it too depressing. Ramis flew the cast back out to shoot a brand new, darkly ironic final scene that kept the cynical tone but added a much-needed punchline to Charlie's miserable night. The screenplay was co-written by Richard Russo, a Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist known for his deeply humanistic, small-town stories. Russo injected his signature dry observational wit into the dialogue, elevating what could have been a standard B-movie thriller into a sharp character study. Despite being set during a brutal, freezing Kansas ice storm, the film was actually shot during a relatively mild autumn in Illinois. The production crew had to spray millions of gallons of biodegradable chemical foam and crushed ice across the sets daily to simulate the slick, treacherous winter wasteland.
The office was just about ready for the private eye business. And so was I.
The next film on our list is The Man with Bogart's Face from 1980.
I'm here about the ad you put in the paper.
It's also known as Sam Marlowe Private Eye, and it's a unique, bizarre, and affectionate film noir parody. Decades before CGI could digitally resurrect old stars, this low-budget comedy found a physical workaround by building an entire narrative around a real-life look-alike. When Sam Marlowe opens his detective agency, his first business move is hiring a ditzy secretary named Duchess, played by Misty Rowe. He explicitly admits he hired her based entirely on her low-cut dress and frontal exposure rather than any actual office skills or typing ability. To establish how ridiculous his brand new agency is, Marlowe's very first paying client is his eccentric landlady. She pays his life savings worth of a retainer to complete one critical mission: keeping an eye out for her missing, height-challenged lover. Marlowe completely surrenders his former identity to the bit. He buys a 1940 Plymouth, wears a constant cynical smirk, and twitches his mouth, all while overdramatically rubbing his shoulder every time he feels a classic noir hunch coming on. The central high-stakes mystery completely lampoons the Maltese Falcon. Instead of a bird statue, everyone is trying to murder each other over a priceless pair of blue sapphires torn from a statue of Alexander the Great, known simply as the Eyes of Alexander. The lead actor, Robert Saatchi, did not use prosthetics, specialized tape, or heavy makeup to look like Humphrey Bogart. He simply naturally possessed that exact face. Saatchi made a massive career out of his uncanny appearance, performing in over 1,000 theater productions of Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam. Film critics note that a movie like this could never be made today. Legal protections regarding an actor's likeness, right, and estate consent, greatly reinforced after Crispin Glover successfully sued over Back to the Future Part 2, means that using an actor's literal face and name as a satirical commodity requires tight legal clearance that wouldn't fly today. The protagonist's adopted moniker, Sam Marlowe, is a direct homage to Bogart's two most famous literary detective roles, Sam Spade from Dashiell Hammett's The Maltese Falcon, and Philip Marlowe from Raymond Chandler's The Big Sleep. The entire opening sequence features a man sitting under heavy bandages waiting for a plastic surgeon to reveal his new face. This is a direct, deliberate parody of the 1947 Bogart noir classic Dark Passage, which notoriously kept the camera in a first-person perspective so audience wouldn't see Bogart's face until his character's facial surgery bandages were unwrapped. The film features the final screen appearance of legendary 1930s tough guy actor George Raft, who died shortly after the movie's release. Raft famously turned down the lead roles in High Sierra and The Maltese Falcon in real life, the exact roles that subsequently launched Humphrey Bogart into ultimate Hollywood superstardom.
Oh, Cuddles.
Hello.
Do they have bellhops here?
Welcome to Secret Park.
Yeah, calisthenics?
The next film on our list is my favorite Brunette from 1947. Bob Hope plays a baby photographer mistaken for a hard-boiled private eye. Now, my favorite Brunette is a landmark entry in this list because it was released right at the peak of the original film noir era, allowing it to spoof tropes of movies like The Maltese Falcon and Double Indemnity while they were still fresh in theaters. Ronnie Jackson, Bob Hope, desperately wants to be a gritty private eye, but is stuck taking pictures of infants. He constantly talks to himself in a hard-boiled, cynical inner monologue, trying to sound like Humphrey Bogart, only for his actual cowardly behavior to immediately ruin the illusion. In a hilarious scene where Ronnie is trying to gather clues, he gets caught by the villains and finds himself trapped inside a massive, malfunctioning iron lung machine, getting physically tossed around while trying to look smooth. When Ronnie finally goes into action to save the femme fatale, he doesn't pack a shoulder holster. Instead, he rolls up to the villain mansion carrying a golf bag stuffed to the brim with random weapons and household tools. The entire film is told in flashback as Ronnie sits on death row. Even facing the electric chair, he cracks jokes about his impending doom, complaining that the prison food is bad for his digestion. The movie features two of the greatest uncredited cameos in comedy history. At the very beginning, legendary noir icon Alan Ladd, star of This Gun for Hire, plays the real private eye who rents the office next to Ronnie. And at the very end, horror legend Peter Lorre plays a sinister knife-wielding thug who terrorizes Hope. Bob Hope's real-life comedic rival Bing Crosby makes a surprise cameo at the very end of this film as a prison executioner. When Ronnie gets a last-minute stay of execution, Crosby steps out from the shadows, looks visibly disappointed that he doesn't get to flip the switch, and grumbles about losing his chains. Due to a clerical error in failing to renew its copyright in the 1970s, My Favorite Brunette fell entirely into the public domain. This means it became one of the most widely broadcast classic comedies on television and early internet streaming, introducing Bob Hope to entirely new generations of fans. This film was actually the second installment in a loose trilogy of favorite parodies starring Bob Hope. It was preceded by My Favorite Blonde in 1942, which spoofed Alfred Hitchcock spy thrillers, and followed by My Favorite Spy in 1951.
I used to be loved. I used to be a kid detective.
We're all really counting on you.
I was so far ahead of the game.
The next film on our list is The Kid Detective from 2020. A burned-out former child sleuth tackles a gloomy small-town adult murderer. It's a brilliant pitch-black mystery comedy drama. It subverts classic detective fiction by looking at what happens when a childhood prodigy sleuth grows up to be a completely washed-up, depressed adult. Directed by Evan Morgan, it balances quirky childhood nostalgia with a genuinely grim, shocking adult murder case. As a child, Abe Applebaum solved a major candy store robbery. His reward from the grateful owner was a lifetime supply of free ice cream. Decades later, a depressed, hungover 32-year-old Abe still walks into the shop to claim his free cones. He has to endure the tense, silent glare of the owner who deeply regrets making that promise. As a kid, Abe's signature detective move was hiding in the closet of suspects to eavesdrop on clues. In adulthood, his physical coordination has deteriorated severely. When he attempts this old habit during the adult murder investigation, he ends up clumsily trapped in a high schooler's closet for an entire afternoon, awkwardly stifling coughs and sneezes. The comedy shines when the film applies dramatic, gritty, hard-boiled film noir monologues to absolutely pathetic crimes. Abe drinks heavily and laments his broken life over mysteries like who stole the school fundraiser money or who keyed the high school principal's car. Abe runs his agency out of a depressed office with a deadpan goth receptionist named Denise, played by Sarah Sutherland. She clearly hates her job, treats him with total condescension, and acts as a constant reminder that he is a local joke. Writer-director Evan Morgan stated that the central inspiration for the movie was asking a dark question. What if the classic children's book hero Encyclopedia Brown grew up, but his life fell completely apart? The film explores the psychological trauma of a kid who peaked at age 11. The turning point in Abe's life occurs when his childhood friend and original kid assistant, Gracie, is mysteriously kidnapped because he failed to solve her disappearance. The entire town lost faith in him, anchoring the decades-long downward spiral into alcoholism. Best known for playing witty, fast-talking characters in his youth like Seth Cohen on The OC, Adam Brody plays Abe with a quiet, understated, world-weary sadness. Critics praised his performance as a tragic, brilliant deconstruction of the child star archetype. The first two-thirds of the movie play out like a quirky, melancholy indie comedy. However, the final act takes a sudden, incredibly dark turn into genuine horror and tragedy. The ending is celebrated for how flawlessly it sticks the landing without losing the film's core identity. Without giving away spoilers, the very final frame of the movie features a sudden close-up of Adam Brody's face that perfectly blends total emotional devastation with an abrupt pitch-black joke. The campy 1960s pop track playing over the credits clashes hilariously with the tragedy on screen.
Let's go. Hurry up. It's not my fault. Just shut up and run.
Hold it right there!
The next film on our list is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's from 2005, a sharp, self-aware neo-noir comedy starring Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang serves as a masterclass in self-aware screenwriting. It actively breaks the fourth wall while serving up a genuinely gripping mystery. Harry Lockhart, Robert Downey Jr., narrates the film like a classic noir detective, but is terrible at it. He forgets to introduce characters, stops the movie to yell at the audience, and even apologizes mid-scene for his bad storytelling. One of the sharpest comedic exchanges happens when Perry, Val Kilmer, tells Harry, "I'm Perry. My friends call me Gay Perry, only because I'm gay." Later, Harry uses the phrase incorrectly, leading to a rapid-fire argument where Perry snaps, "Look up idiom in the dictionary. You don't know what it means." In a hilarious subversion of the tough interrogation trope, Perry puts a single bullet in a revolver to scare a suspect. He pulls the trigger, expecting an empty click, but immediately shoots the guy in the head. A panicked Harry screams, "You shot him!" To which Perry deadpans, "There was a 10% chance. I didn't think it would happen." Harry accidentally chops off his own finger in a door and puts it on ice in a frozen food container, and later has it stolen and eaten by a stray dog. This movie is single-handedly responsible for the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it. Jon Favreau has stated that watching Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in this film convinced him that RDJ had the exact blend of wit, charm, and flawed humanity needed to play Tony Stark in Iron Man from 2008. Val Kilmer lost a significant amount of weight right before filming began because his wardrobe had already been custom-tailored for his heavier build. His clothes looked slightly too loose on him throughout the movie, according to Perry's sleek but slightly off-kilter look. The actor who plays the 9-year-old version of Harry Lockhart in the opening flashback scenes is Indio Falconer Downey, Robert Downey Jr.'s real-life son.
We go solving the crime of the century. Let's deal with the rotting corpse. I got a plan. Run.
The next film on our list is The Nice Guys from 2016. Shane Black's witty 1970s throwback about mismatched private investigators. The Nice Guys stands as one of the most brilliantly written buddy detective comedies in the 21st century. It relies on the incredible chaotic chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe to completely flip tough guy tropes upside down. Ryan Gosling completely throws away standard alpha male detective tropes. Instead, whenever Holland March finds a dead body or gets into danger, he lets out an incredibly high-pitched feminine shriek that leaves everyone else bewildered. In an absolute masterclass of physical comedy, March tries to hold open a bathroom stall door with his leg, keep a loaded gun pointed at Jackson Healy, Russell Crowe, and smoke a cigarette all at the same time, resulting in total clumsy chaos. March has a terrible habit of adding "and stuff" to the end of important statements. Healy constantly corrects him, leading to petty arguments in the middle of active interrogations. Because the plot revolves around a missing adult film star named Amelia, March spends half the movie misinterpreting clues. When told a car is a blue color, he immediately thinks they are talking about the adult film genre blue movies. Director Shane Black revealed that some of the funniest moments in the film were completely improvised by Gosling. The entire sequence where March accidentally cuts his hand open trying to break a window was unscripted. Gosling actually broke the glass wrong and just rolled with a painful error. Shane Black directed Iron Man 3 immediately before this film. He loved working with young actress Andrea Rice, who plays March's daughter Holly, so much during casting that he wrote her role to be the actual moral compass and anchor of the entire script. Robert Downey Jr. actually makes an uncredited blink and you'll miss it appearance in this film. He plays the corpse of Sid Shattuck, a dead body found hidden in the bushes during a party scene.
See you tomorrow. Good.
Next movie on our list is Under the Silver Lake from 2018. It's an absurdist, modern neo-noir mystery full of satirical conspiracy theories. It deconstructs the entire history of pop culture. Directed by David Robert Mitchell, it flips the classic missing woman trope upside down by following a completely unqualified millennial slacker who hallucinates conspiracy in every piece of media he consumes. Sam, played by Andrew Garfield, spends almost the entire movie smelling absolutely horrific early on. He gets sprayed directly by a skunk because he is too lazy to properly clean himself. Every single character he encounters throughout the rest of the mystery immediately gags or comments on his terrible stench. Sam is completely obsessed with Wheel of Fortune star Vanna White. He has posters of her all over his apartment, tracks her outfits like stock market trends, and genuinely believes her nightly television movements contain encrypted hidden messages meant specifically for him. In a brilliant spoof of the classic noir trope where the detective finds a cryptic map to a hidden location, Sam finally decodes a massive world-altering puzzle. The grand secret turns out to be mapped out entirely within the pages of a vintage real-life issue of Nintendo Power Magazine, detailing shortcuts to The Legend of Zelda. The funniest, most cynical sequence involves Sam tracking down an ancient billionaire known as the Songwriter. The old man casually reveals that he secretly wrote every single iconic counterculture anthem in human history, from Beethoven to Nirvana, purely as a corporate mind control mechanism to make money off of rebellious youth. The film itself is a literal, real-life riddle. The director packed the background of the movie with real hidden cryptograms, Morse code messages, and ciphers. Shortly after its release, a group of dedicated fans on Reddit actually cracked the codes, discovering hidden text messages buried in the background graffiti, soundtrack cues, and billboard advertisements. During a high-energy scene where Sam gets into a frantic physical struggle, Andrew Garfield accidentally threw his back out. Instead of stopping production, Mitchell kept rolling, and Garfield's genuine painful wincing was edited directly into the movie to highlight Sam's pathetic, uncoordinated physical nature. The entire scene where Sam secretly follows a woman into a massive Hollywood cemetery was filmed on location at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. The specific spot where the characters stop to talk is directly adjacent to the real-life memorial cenotaph of film noir and suspense legend Alfred Hitchcock. In a hilarious meta joke about Andrew Garfield's real-life career, Sam gets a comic book permanently stuck to his hand because of a spilled drink. The comic book stuck to his palm is a classic vintage issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, the exact superhero franchise Garfield was infamously fired from by Sony years prior.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit 1988 is arguably the most brilliant and visually spectacular film noir parody ever made. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, it functions as both a flawless homage to 1940s hard-boiled detective fiction and a wild deconstruction of classic Hollywood animation. The iconic running gags jokes, the litmus test for infidelity. In standard film noir, a private eye captures gritty, scandalous blackmail photos of a client's unfaithful spouse. In Roger Rabbit, Detective Eddie Valiant, Bob Hoskins, breaks open the case by catching Jessica Rabbit in the act of playing a literal game of patty cake with Marvin Acme. Roger's over-the-top, screaming mental breakdown upon seeing the photos perfectly satirizes classic noir heartbreak. Jessica Rabbit is a visual mashup of classic film noir temptresses like Veronica Lake, Lauren Bacall, and Rita Hayworth. The script completely parodies the trope when she drops one of the most famous lines in cinema history, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way." The inherent chaos of toon physics. Eddie Valiant treats his murder investigation with deadly, grim, alcoholic seriousness. The film's humor constantly pairs his grounded depression against the total absurdity of cartoon logic, like getting handcuffed to a cartoon rabbit who can easily slide his hands out of the cuffs at any time. But only when it's funny, the shave and a haircut knock. No matter how tough, villainous, or hidden a cartoon character tries to be, they physically cannot resist completing the rhythm to the classic shave and a haircut knock. Judge Doom, Christopher Lloyd, uses this psychological cartoon loophole as an interrogation tactic to forcefully flush Roger out of hiding. Fascinating movie trivia. The script is literally a recycled Chinatown sequel. The entire central plot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where a corrupt corporate syndicate plots to dismantle a public transit system, the Pacific Electric Red Cars, to force the city into relying on freeways and gas stations, was adapted from a real, unproduced sequel script to the legendary neo-noir Chinatown, the darker, deadlier original book. The movie is loosely based on Gary K. Wolfe's 1981 novel, Who Censored Roger Rabbit. In the original book, the tone is much closer to a bleak, traditional adult noir. The characters are comic strip figures who speak with physical speech bubbles. Roger Rabbit is brutally murdered in the first few chapters rather than framed, and the mystery involves wishes granted by an evil genie in a magic teapot.
Stay where you are, you dirty, lying scum.
Rigby.
I should have known. I fell for a dame who was playing me for a sucker.
Next film on our list is Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid from 1982. Steve Martin stars in a brilliant mashup that splices new footage with classic Golden Age noir clips. The movie that literally stole from 26 Hollywood legends and got away with it. Whenever anyone says the words cleaning woman, Rigby Reardon, Steve Martin, completely loses his mind. He goes into an uncontrollable, violent rage, starts strangling whoever is nearby, and screams about how a cleaning woman murdered his mother. To test if a woman is trustworthy or a dangerous femme fatale, Reardon has a highly specific method. He forcefully adjusts the breasts of a doll to match her posture. In a hilarious nod to tough guy resilience, whenever Reardon gets shot, Juliet, played by Richard Ward, extracts the bullets from his arm using nothing but her teeth. The movie relentlessly mocks hard-boiled monologue cliches. Reardon delivers lines like, "She was a classic, the kind of woman who made you want to drop your phone in your coffee and bite your cigarette." Director Carl Reiner and Steve Martin spent countless hours watching classic 1940s film noirs to find perfect snippets of dialogue. Then they carefully constructed an entirely original plot around those pre-existing clips. Through seamless editing, matching lighting, and meticulous blocking, Steve Martin shares the screen with 26 dead or legendary Hollywood stars. He gets into a shootout with Humphrey Bogart, flirts with Ava Gardner, takes orders from Burt Lancaster, and even gets scolded by Joan Crawford. The legendary costume designer Edith Head, who won 8 Academy Awards and worked on many of the original 1940s noirs, designed the costumes to perfectly match the texture of the old stock. Tragically, this was her final film. It is dedicated to her memory. To make the new 1982 footage seamlessly blend with footage shot 40 years prior, cinematographer Michael Chapman tracked down and used actual 1940s camera lenses and film processing techniques.
How you doing, Trooper?
The number one film on our list is The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad in 1988. Leslie Nielsen anchors this gag-heavy spoof spoke in noir narration and tropes. It's widely considered one of the greatest spoof movies ever made. Directed by David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, the Zaz team, it successfully took the gritty, hard-boiled narration of classic noir radio and television shows and combined them with relentless, literal-minded visual slapstick. And it also led to 2 sequels, The Smell of Fear and The Final Insult. Frank Drebin, Leslie Nielsen, delivers dramatic inner monologues that treat abstract idioms completely literally. His opening lines mock the genre perfectly. The city of Los Angeles, a town where a man can find himself or get lost completely. A town where love is like a hot fudge sundae, beautiful, sweet, but you're always afraid it's going to melt down your shirt. Every time Frank pulls up to a crime scene or suspects a lead, his focus is so entirely wrapped up in his detective hunches that he accidentally smashes his car into trash cans, light poles, or vendor stalls, stepping out of the vehicle completely oblivious to the chaos. In a flawless spoof of a double entendre, femme fatale encounter, Jane, played by Priscilla Presley, climbs a ladder to fetch a box. Frank looks up, admires her, and says, "Nice beaver." Jane pulls down a literal stuffed, taxidermized beaver and hands it to him, implying, "Thank you, I just had it stuffed." Mocking the hyper-eroticized hookup scenes common in 1980s neo-noirs, Frank and Jane decide to practice ultra-safe sex. The scene cuts to both characters completely enclosed in a giant, head-to-toe latex body condom, happily cuddling in bed. The movie is a direct big-screen adaptation of the 1982 television series Police Squad. ABC canceled the show after just 6 episodes, with the network head famously claiming it was axed because the viewer had to actually watch it to understand the jokes, meaning the background visual gags required too much attention for 1980s TV audiences. The writers didn't originally want to call the movie The Naked Gun. However, another television adaptation, Miami Vice, was dominating popular culture at the time, and the studio forced the filmmakers to put a flashy word in the title so audiences wouldn't confuse it with standard cop dramas. The word naked was chosen entirely because it meant absolutely nothing to the plot. O.J. Simpson plays Nordberg, a clumsy detective who spends the entire movie getting violently injured. And in a dark twist of historical irony, the film features a scene where Frank Drebin mistakenly hunts Simpson's character in a high-speed white vehicle chase down a Los Angeles highway, years before the infamous real-life 1994 Ford Bronco chase occurred. David Zucker revealed that he cast Priscilla Presley specifically because she was not a traditional comedic actress. He gave her a strict rule on set: never try to be funny. The humor of the movie relied entirely on the actors treating the absolute absurdity around them with deadly serious drama. The climax at the baseball stadium features genuine sports and media broadcasting legends playing themselves, including Kurt Gowdy, Dick Vitale, Mel Allen, and Dr. Joe's brothers. This grounded the ridiculous plot to brainwash a baseball player into assassinating Queen Elizabeth II in a bizarre reality. And that was our show for today. What do you think? What was your favorite film noir parody? Is there a film that should have been on this list that you didn't see? Let me know your thoughts on film noir parodies in the comments section below. Until next time, this is Kevin Given inviting you to subscribe to my channel, click the bell to stay informed, and check out the Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise, which is also in the comments section. Until next time, live long and prosper. May the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.